And well, big conversation tonight with the owner and chief executive officer of Rich City Football Club. Today is International Women's Day, a day that is set aside to recognize the many works women are doing across the world, and also to try and raise awareness on the challenges that some of them are going through, and try and also ultimately ensure some gender equality across all facets of society. And tonight we're talking about women's football, assessing the gains we've made over the years and also the challenges that are persistent in the football. We're joined by Cleopatra Nketia, one lady who is making waves within the Ghana women football industry and clearly setting a course that definitely needs to be lauded. Cleopatra, thank you very much for joining us tonight on Prime Sports. And of course, the conversation is big. Happy Women's Day to yourself and and to the entire team at Rich City Football Club. Happy Women's Day to all of you, and kudos for the great work you're doing. But it's about the women's football at the moment, and of course, so many years, the game is persistent. Definitely the challenges abound, but inevitably we've made some great gains. What will you say have been the gains that women's football have chalked over the last few years?
Yes, thank you for having me. And yes, happy International Women's Day to all the women out there. I'm glad that there's been a day set aside to celebrate women for everything that we're achieving. And I'm happy that everybody who's celebrating is on board to celebrate it. But yes, to go back to Rich City FC, some of the things that we've noticed that has happened in the women's game is that the support. I don't think that 5 years ago, 3 years ago, we will be having this conversation on joy, because the conversation about women's football wasn't so big that people are interested in hearing about it. But these days, we have a lot of radio stations, a lot of TV stations, a lot of people interested in finding out what women are doing in sports, what's happening in football in Ghana. And I'm very happy to see that this is what's happening. In terms of what's happening on the pitch, the Women's Premier League, we are seeing title sponsors, we are seeing people show it on TV, we are seeing it on social media platforms, we are seeing international clubs, international people all over the world trying to get our players. We are seeing a lot of improvement, and it's all because all eyes are on the women's game. So I'm happy that this is happening. I hope it continues, because it's encouraging the girls, it's encouraging the women. It makes us know that we're not just wasting our time. It makes us know that we haven't just lit a fire and put it under the table. It's very encouraging. So I think that we're doing well. Obviously, there's still a lot to be done, a lot more to be done. And I'm happy to champion the fight to get women what they deserve.
I mean, interestingly, even when you look at it on a broader scope relative to the continent, we've seen the first ever Women's Champions League, came off, I think, 2 seasons ago, clearly laudable. Of course, the women's AFCON itself has been there for a while now. On the continent itself, it does appear that we're making some good gains over there. But in terms of course, the game in Ghana, it's fair to say, well, it's at a stage where it is still growing, especially the policy that the Ghana Football Association introduced, compelling every men's team to have a women's team. To what extent do you think this policy is going to help even raise the game to the level that possibly we see, say, in England, in Italy, or even in France?
Yeah, I think that policy was awesome. But what most people don't know is that there are a lot more policies. There are a lot of policies. If we were to publicize it, you see that there are books and books on policies on women's football and how people can get involved. The problem is enforcement. Because my club, for example, a couple of seasons ago, when GFA enforced those rules, we entered into a partnership with one of the women's Premier League clubs. But that was the first and last time I heard from them.
Which team was that? Which team was that? Have you cared to share?
I don't want to talk about it because we're still in a relationship. But I mean, the fact is that that's what happened with that club. And there are a number of clubs that are also in that situation. Because to be honest with you, I don't think that I have seen most women's clubs benefit from any partnership. But I saw that House of Oaks have entered into a partnership with one Division 1 club, Nimobi Ladies, and they've changed their name. That is something amazing that Hearts are doing. And I wish that the other clubs will emulate that and continue to do stuff like that, because it really helps. That team that I'm talking about now they have jerseys. It may be hand-me-downs, but now they have jerseys. They have a team bus. The girls feel encouraged. They look like a brand new team now. And it's all because of some small support that the men gave. And we shouldn't leave it to the GFA to be putting these implementations in place. Everybody can see what is going on. If you ask any people in men's football if they know anything about women's football, they might tell you they don't know. And these are men in men's football. What about people who are not in football? There are so many implementations that when we embark on, we have to ensure that there are consequences for not abiding by it, and the people who have been given the authority to do it are actually going and pushing it ahead. But one thing that I've noticed is that we need to have a strategy for women's football or for sports in Ghana, which we have to try and abide by. I know it's difficult. Most of the challenges and most of the problems that we have has to do with money. But money comes from support and backing. So if, for example, there's a strategy there and people want to invest in women's football, are aware of the strategy, know how they can plug in and what they need to do, I think that would be super helpful. But I mean, even if people who are interested don't even know that it's a strategy, there are many clubs around, there are many women around. They can also reach out and see how best they can help. We are doing this interview now. Joy has been so gracious to put us on. We are talking about sports. A lot of people who watch this on TV will be happy, they'll clap their hands, they'll talk about how amazing of a job I'm doing, and then that's where it ends. But then we need the support. We've passed the stage of talking. We need to do more to support these girls. And there's only so much that I can do when I come on TV. So I wish that people who are seeing this and are happy about what is happening will reach out and see how best they can support.
I mean, talking about support, I was following the Ghana Football Association release today where, they said as part of efforts to try and, celebrate the day, they're offering free coaching courses for some licensee women, I think about 30 women, licensed D 40 women. And curiously, a part of the support they were given, they said they shared credits on their various women's Facebook platforms. I'm not sure how that is going to help, but to some extent, do you think is there anything you think the GFA possibly could do practically to try and help the women's game? Intentional policy that can help raise the women's game. Of course, they already have issues with the men's game, which clearly is another one they have to deal with, but they also have responsibility for the women's game. Is there any particular deliberate policy that you think the GFA really needs to consider to raise the women's game to a level that everybody, to some extent, can be satisfied with?
Yeah, so I think that this course or this thing that the GFA put out today about the coaching course for the licensee and licensee, I think it's amazing because trust me, there are 20 women's Premier League clubs, and if you ask how many teams are being coached by women, you will sit there and you wonder what is going on. I don't think there's more than even 2 or 3 clubs that are being coached by women in the 20 Premier League club competition. And it's like that when you go to the Division 1. It's like that when you go to every aspect of women's football. It's being coached by men. So I'm happy that the GFA is doing this. You're going to have, by the time this thing is over, you're going to have at least 40 women who are capable of coaching at all levels. And it's something that we need to have. In addition to this policy that the GFA are encouraging, I think that other things that the GFA can do, they're on the right track. We just need to push because the sponsorship that we've gotten for the Women's Premier League, the fact that we have some companies like Betway involved in helping the players or the girls learn about management of football. Today, for example, there was a program like that where the GFA organized and Betway put together all the management members of the Premier League clubs, and they had a discussion on how to manage the club. These programs are awesome. But what I think that maybe something that the GFA can add to the stuff that they do is ensure implementation, because as I've been saying, there's so many methods or things that the GFA has suggested or other people have suggested, but then it's like there's no follow through, not on the part of the GFA alone, but everybody. We need to all ensure that we are supporting and helping push these policies. Because I talked about the fact that the men's Premier League clubs are supposed to support. They are not doing that. What are we doing about it? And the players, the facilities that the players train on, sometimes our matches that we play is dictated based on pitch availability. Are the people who are helping make Ghana better, providing pitches available for young girls to play on? Our educational system allowing players to understand that if you want to be a footballer, it's okay? What's happening in our homes? What are the things that are happening to encourage everything as a whole? So it's not per se something that the GFA alone has to do. It's something that the community, the country as a whole, we need to jump on board, then we need to get behind it, because whenever there's World Cup, people stop working to go home to go and watch the men play. But then Women's World Cup may be happening in Ghana and people go like, oh, really, women play football? And that's such a gap, an unnecessary wide gap that needs to be closed. So I think that people should go out of their way, encourage and support women's football. Rich City is playing Friday at Medina Astroturf at 3 o'clock. Come and support. Put your money where your mouth is. Like, do stuff to help women's football.
Well, great.
And you see the changes that will happen.
I mean, amazing. I love your passion for the game, and we'll continue to support. We'll continue to do all we can here at Joy Sports to make sure that the game reaches the level that it can get to. Thank you very much, Cleopatra Inketia Insia, who with Rich City, and of course, member of the Women's Premier League Board. This is where we draw the curtains on tonight's edition of Prime Sports with me, Razak Musbau. There's more on myjoyonline.com/sports. Up next, this PM Express. What's Evans Spencer?